I want to talk to you today about a traditional fitness Pilates move, the shoulder bridge. And we're going to give you some different, or I'm going to give you some different variations on that. So coming down onto the floor, I want you to relax the head and shoulders down into the floor and into the mat. And your feet about hip width apart, taking them quite close up to your bottom so you feel comfortable, and your knees about hip width apart. Hands are down on the floor. Now what we're going to start to do is imprint the vertebrae into the mat. So if you imagine that you're pushing down with your tailbone, there's that natural arch through your spine. What I want you to do, natural curve, what you're going to do is start to push the vertebrae into the floor. So you're taking out that curve now, pushing those hips up towards the ceiling. And each time we lift, we're pushing the vertebrae, imprinting the vertebrae into the mat. Now keep the shoulders down away from the ears, so try not to be too tense in that upper body. Shoulders are going to come down away from the ears, and I'm pushing my hips now up towards the ceiling. Now where I need to feel this is in the glutes, so not in the lower back or not in the back. Try not to arch too much so you can feel that in the back. You want to start to squeeze those glutes, and the idea is to get some strength through the glutes, but other muscles are working here as well. We're going to zip up through the pelvic floor, so we're going to pull in our pelvic floor, engage through that core and squeeze the glutes. So squeeze the bum and just push the hips up towards the ceiling. So again, we've got quads now engaged as well, and our hamstrings are also doing some work, calf muscles, kind of lots going on here. So this is your first option. We're going to bring that back down to the floor, imprinting the vertebrae again back down into the floor. Now as you release it, it's really important that we come down nice and slowly, and this natural curve through our spine, we're going to push it down into the floor. So we're actually going to again imprint the vertebrae. So the last thing that touches the ground is your tailbone, and then you bring that natural curve back. So I'm going to come up a little bit quicker this time, just so I can show you some variations. So coming back up into my shoulder bridge, again, relaxing through the shoulders here. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to come up onto the heels. So coming up onto the heels, again, squeezing the glutes. I'm going to bring my arms up overhead, and we're going to come back to shoulder height. Maybe you can open, close, take them back overhead, and we're starting to engage other muscles, bringing them down to the ground, and then we're going to release it back down to the floor. Once again, imprinting the vertebrae and bringing our tailbone down last, and now my toes are going to come to the floor. We can come onto the toes. So now, once again, imprinting. I'm going to go a little bit quicker, but I want you to go slowly when you're doing this, and just holding here in this position. Now we can start to drop down a little bit, halfway down and all the way up. So we're dropping and squeezing. Another variation on this is we push the hips up towards the ceiling, put the heels down to the floor, and we're going to just drop the hips side to side. So again, keeping those heels up, we're just going to drop our hip down to one side and then our hip down to the other. We've got a marching bridge, so we can come down into the floor and we can come into one single knee comes up, drops down, other knee comes up, drops down. So now I'm taking the weight through one leg. So I'm making it a little bit harder by taking that weight through one leg. We could take one leg up towards the ceiling and we can pulse here. So squeezing through that bridge, we can drop the leg down and up, trying to keep the hips up. And again, switch to the other side. So again, keeping those hips up towards the ceiling. I'm really feeling that in this quad here and also in the glutes. Okay, and then bringing that back down to the floor. Now you all know I love a mini ball, so we're going to bring a mini ball now into our glute bridge. And I'm squeezing that mini ball just above the knees. Once again, slowly imprinting that vertebrae. You're going to go slower than me. We're going to come up, and I'm now squeezing that ball. So I'm bringing my feet a little bit closer together, squeezing that ball in between my inner thighs. And again, glutes squeezed and hips. Now, I'm going to start to pulse the ball. So I'm bringing my knees in, my inner thighs in, and I'm just squeezing that ball. Lovely. Just squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. You're going to really start to feel that in the glutes, the glute meat just here. Okay, next thing that we can do is that we can lift one leg up, keeping the knees in line, squeezing that ball, lift the other leg up, keeping the knees in line and keeping those hips up. Okay, and then another variation, we can take the ball behind the leg, so coming back into that single leg glute bridge, but I'm squeezing that ball now behind my knee, and we're just going to lift up and down, lift and down, and then obviously same again on the other side. lifting down. So you can start to progress through those moves as you strengthen. You can increase the amount that you do. You could keep yourself up into that glute bridge without releasing down and try to do as many as you can. So maybe here we're kicking up, maybe we're going to come up and then we hip drop, etc., etc. Then we do the other side. So you're staying up in that glute bridge the whole time and not bringing the bum back down to the floor. So you can do lots of different variations on that glute bridge. Enjoy and do let me know how you get on.